First of all, thank you to WMG for the opportunity, also to Lumos for connecting us. It's all about connection, and not just the overt connection of getting to know each other and exchanging data and information, but the inner connection to ourselves. I'll return to speak about that a little bit more in just a moment. I do want to state that I grew up, my career started in the dot-com era as a technologist, a designer, serial entrepreneur, later on as a mentor, educator, higher institutions. And in 25 plus years in the US and San Francisco and Los Angeles area, I never once in any business meeting heard anyone quote the Gita, let alone have an entire presentation on karma yoga. So that's really fantastic, and I think that speaks well, extremely well, to India's future. It may be more gradual in nature, but this gives you the foundation that the West wishes it had. So I also want to say, yes, those were the most boring economical slides I've ever seen. But to see the economics professor respond to the audience by telling them to stay present made it worth it. Back to Rajesh and Shrikara, first time I walked into their presentation, into their meeting, the energy was pungent. We all know what it feels like when we're in a room and somebody walks in and they've had a bad day, they're full of negative energy. We can all feel that. We can feel energy. It's not some woo-woo concept. We can also feel when somebody walks in with a lot of positive energy, a lot of woo-hoo and machoism and strength and inspiration. And that's what I felt immediately from WMG. And that's not just talking about values, that's embodying them. And embodying wisdom is really where it's at. 3 stages of wisdom is exposing yourself to information. That's what we're all doing by being here and listening. Second is intellectually understanding, letting it sink in, getting it. But there comes a point where you have to practice it, where it has to become internalized, has to become real. And real is the currency, most potent currency that you can bring to any situation. As leaders especially, because everything trickles down, as we know. But in every personal situation, the realness with which you meet your loved ones when you come home from work, realness with which you go to a job interview or interview somebody else. The biggest breaks of my life came not just from presenting skills, not just from presenting my know-how, my experience, but from my realness, from calling out, hey, you look exhausted. Do you need 5 minutes? It's that realness that makes not just my words go in one ear and go out the other, but it's that realness that makes you be able to pause and say, hey, I love your amazing green flowery dress. Or that incredible piece you look really dapper in. That's not just fashion, that's a welcoming, an acknowledging of the person. When you say welcome to somebody or good morning to somebody, if you're just saying it, it means nothing. If you're saying it from the place of acknowledging their presence, their personality, their energy, it means everything. Essentially, we're all here on this planet to feel seen and heard, and ultimately to feel and see ourselves. So to have people that you work with, both at your level, but also beneath you, that you are welcoming into the day every day. Potent power that will elevate creativity, it'll reduce redundancy, human error, it will cut down on turnover. 50% of our time we spend absent-minded. And the economics professor said, be present. If we spend 50% of our time thinking about things that have no relevancy to the task at hand, you can imagine the efficiency, not just what you've already accomplished, but how to tap into an even deeper pool of being quality, of source energy. For hyperactive, high achiever types, the number is probably higher, 70%. Western psychology calls it rumination. It's not being present with what you're doing, with who you're talking to, with even what you choose to wear in the morning or the cup of coffee that you pour yourself. You can be present with all those things. That is what meditation is. Sometimes I get looks when I say mindfulness and meditation is not about enlightenment. It's about making better decisions, being more effective, staying calm under pressure, about having a bigger perspective on the situation so you can act in unison for the well-being of everyone involved. That's what it should really be about. If you're just meditating to get somewhere, then you won't actually get there because you're always trying to get there. It just becomes another goal that you're chasing. And one of the big traps, and I learned the hard way as well, is that when we're always chasing outcomes, we won't get there. That's how energy works. If you keep wanting to be there, you'll never get there. You'll get there by wanting to be here. It's a paradox to the mind, but that's how energy works. If you keep seeking an answer, the universe will give you things you don't know. It's never ending that way. You have to find a place to settle where you are, like where you are, heck, love where you are. Settle into your being. Let yourself be. And bring that being quality to everyone around you puts them at ease, takes them out of their masks, and puts them into creation mode, unlimited mode, anything is possible mode. I want to build on the beautiful reframe of more that the previous talked about. If we imagine more, we can only imagine the more that we can think of, which is limited to who we are right now. An even greater more can be achieved if we go up to the edge of our comfort zones, where we feel uncertainty, where we feel fear. The 7 Spiritual Habits of Success, Deepak Chopra talks about uncertainty being the cusp of creativity, of source. It's a feeling, it's a sensation in your body, this thing of uncertainness. But get comfortable with it. It won't kill you. It means you're in the right place of co-creation. So these little indicators that we always run away from, that we keep pushing, but we don't have to live in that place. We can achieve more, way more. And I always say people that are at the beginning of their spiritual journey, they get upset that life is getting in the way of the life they imagine. So coming out of that mind, using it for what it's designed for, organizational matters, noticing the sensations in your body, the connectedness that is telling you you've hit a block, you need to change the energy, you need to go for a walk, you need to eat, you need to sleep, all the basics. That's what awareness is. Awareness is greater sensitivity to energy, to your inner voice. It tells you something that you don't know. If you're just acting from what you know, you will never come up with something new. You can't move forward from knowledge. Everyone here can probably reflect on a moment in their life where they thought something that happened was a disaster, and then later on it turned into a blessing. We reflect on our life and sometimes, I wish I'd done this different or done something better. And in hindsight, 2020 vision, we get down on ourselves. But if you think about it, you know better now because you went through that. So flow is the ability to hold something very lightly. We need some structure, we need some starting point, but that's all we really need is a starting point. What will unfold, the natural unfolding of life, will happen when that time is there. I often am the greatest nightmare for stage managers because they ask me, what are you going to talk about when you're on stage? And I tell them, I don't know, I'm not on stage yet. You have to stay real and keep it real, and that is such a reward. There's such a power, such inspiration that flows from that. This knowledge-driven has its place. We have experience, we have skills, something that worked in the past. Of course, we're not here to negate that. We bring that into the current situation, the equation, but it plays a very little role. Have to stay open to the flow. And the flow is very obvious. People sometimes ask, How do I know the difference when I'm manifesting and projecting and visualizing and when I'm starting to feel fear and I'm over anticipating? I say, what does it feel like? When you're in the manifestation mode of, wow, I see myself, I've prepared well, I'm giving my presentation and I'm answering questions and everything's going great, that feels a certain way. The projector doesn't work and thoughts about what if they ask me out something I don't know and all that doesn't feel good. Listen to your body. And that requires body connectedness, embodiment, coming back to my first impression, walking WMG. They embody their values. They convey a deeper learning than just stats, than just more information, more knowing. That it's not just about reaching the mountaintop, it's about the journey. And you could take a helicopter to the top and take pretty much the same pretty pictures. But if you take the hike, you'll be a different person. You will have changed. And that picture from the top will have a different meaning. Everything takes on a different meaning when you do it with awareness, with presence, from a place of connectedness, from a place of awe and wonder, and I couldn't imagine this. Whose life here has gone according to plan? Who here would give their life back if they had a second chance? Also no one. So initially, logically, rationally, why wouldn't you want to live your life? It's never happened according to plan. Well, it's because the challenges deepen us. They are the vehicle through which we get to know ourselves. You'd still just be at the super surface level that you started from when you came in if you didn't have to dig deep. So our challenges make us grow. Even more importantly, they turn into our calling. That's the place where you have authenticity. People come to you. You don't even have to choose that. You don't have to want to be a mentor role model. People will come to you because they see that genuineness in you. That you've not just talking the talk, you've walked the walk. You're real. Again, the currency of real. You bring that currency of real into all your daily situations and your life will change. It will up-level. It's a frequency that is so beyond everything else. I used to build companies brick on brick. Because I knew that in my head, if I put brick on brick on brick on brick, I would get there. And it worked, but it was really hard. I'd probably have hair today. So there's a way to achieve, yes, but there's a way to allow it to happen. Flow with a greater current and achieve things that you couldn't even imagine you could achieve and make happen. So the balance is, of course, how to work in a competitive environment where you have people who are pulling all-nighters, who are working on a global economic scale. But it all comes back to, in all the different 17 companies I found, it all came back to the people. Everyone who's as a VC or as an entrepreneur knows that it's not about the idea, it's about the team. Because the idea will change, you'll have to pivot. Legal landscapes, regulatory, other opportunities. And that is a quality that you don't just nurture in the workplace. That's a quality that you nurture in every single moment all day long. Waiting in line at the supermarket while the cashier is held up. Sitting in traffic. Waiting at the elevator. Listening to somebody express themselves. The highest quality is if you can recognize the experience someone is seeking to have. And you're able to tune into what is it that they want from this situation, that they need. Where do they need to feel heard and seen? Most of the time, that's all it is. They want to express. Even just a 3-second pause before you respond can bring massive changes to how you communicate with others, how they feel about you in the workplace and personal life. Little adjustments go a long way. So life can be extremely meaningful, and it's that concept of presence. Everything is only happening right now. Nothing else is real. And that number of 50%, just imagine, 50 to 70%, just imagine you get 10% of that back. I did the math one time. It's, I think, 6 years of your life. 6 more years of actual living time. Time spent with loved ones, time spent on ideas, building new companies or products or services or nurturing yourself, your spiritual world or your physical being. Real life time. And the funny thing is that when you do that, time starts to fade. And you lose all of that anxiety and pursuit madness. Anyway. So as I mentioned, everything trickles down. If you want to invigorate, inspire those who work for you, those who you work with, learning to recognize the experience they're seeking to have. I've never seen an idea come out of a single person that was as good as that came out of a group. If you can bring a group of people together and get that creative spark going, it doesn't matter. There is no such thing as a bad idea or a bad contribution. That sparks something in this person, this person, this person. It always only gets better. And that's not theoretical if you just think about it rationally. We just bring our own background to every situation, every problem that needs solving. More backgrounds, more perspectives leads to more variety. Leads to change, good change, positive change. As beings, we're not meant to just flip from one moment to the next. There's mutual growth. So life is found in the present moment, as we all know, we've heard before. And ultimately, meaning is found in the happening. Everything else is just what we know. Nothing new can come from that. Everything else that we think of in the future, as someone else said, can't be predicted. You want it to have been different. When nothing, there's few blanket statements you can make about life, but this is one of them. Nothing that's already happened has ever changed from you wanting it to have happened differently. And yet we get upset, we react, learning that your feelings and your reaction to your feelings are two separate things. It's a game changer. Most of our energy goes into our reaction to our feelings, not the feelings themselves. Those feelings that we're so deathly afraid of, it's just our emotional reaction, mental reaction to the feeling, to the stuck energy. So tremendous power and tremendous inspiration, tremendous innovation, tremendous lust for life can be unlocked with greater presence, greater awareness, greater connection to our body. India is very special in this, in that you have these philosophies and traditions at your root. To try to get a Westerner to connect back to their heart is much harder than to raise Indian excellence that with heart into the head. A very simple exercise I recommend when you think of some question, you're sitting with your colleagues or at lunch and there's something you don't know, we reach for our device and we look up the answer along with a million other people's opinions. Just resist that for 1 minute. Get used to the feeling of not knowing. That is feeling of connection to source. It's that simple. Yet it's right there. It's so close. It's knocking on our door all day long. And we're trying so hard to get rid of it, to push it away. It's incredible how much effort goes into resisting presence. Resisting ultimately what is God's love that wants to come into us, that wants to co-create with us through each and every one of us in our own unique way. And we try so hard to keep it out. But with just a few tweaks, some small adjustments, the flow comes back. And again, it feels a certain way. The beautiful thing of our design is that when we're in alignment with flow, we get rewarded instantly. It feels good. It feels easy. It feels light. It feels fun. It feels inspiring. It feels magical. And if we're not in alignment, we get punished immediately, instantly. We feel bad, feel down, we get stuck. So it's all right there, this feedback mechanism. Again, the mind thinks we have to accumulate and grab and make things happen, add to ourselves, that somehow will make us whole. When it's the opposite, it's giving. It's being of service that brings you together. The taking creates distance. You can just think about it. Nothing I'm saying is woo-woo. If you just think about it a little extra, one extra step, it's logical. It's all very logical. And we just have to spend some time to remind ourselves. So I applaud you all for being here. And again, thank you so much to WMG. I hope to see many of you at future events. Thank you.